Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another 10 minutes until landing. This time I'm going to do a landing using the Xbox controller in order to assist those who are joining us from the Xbox community, as well as those of you who have been using the Xbox controller since day one. So we are going to go for one of the simpler landing challenges to begin with, and that is to Sydney Airport. Reason being, it is pretty straight in. You've got to make very small corrections in order to line up with the runway, but otherwise you are just making those minor corrections, lining up with that runway and controlling the power. So a few things we'll be looking at the moment, and the first one is what we do to the thumbstick, the left thumbstick, and second thing is what we will be doing with the A and B buttons to control the power delivered to the engines. So here we go, Kingsford Smith International Airport. There's our aircraft in the distance, and if you look at it, it's got its gear down and it's also got its flaps set for landing. So all we need to do is place the aircraft down on the ground. So from the start, we just need to bank to the right a little bit, also pushing down on that nose in order to line up with the runway and continue our descent profile. So we are going towards the right and then correcting back towards the left in order to line up with that runway. You'll hear the outer marker, which indicates that we are on track. Notice that when I'm making these corrections using the left thumbstick, I am returning the thumbstick back. So just a small correction, and then returning that thumbstick back to the center.
1000.
So here it is. Feet. Looks good. Again, very small corrections and counter corrections. Be sure not to push too far in one direction or another, because you will cause the aircraft to go too far one way. And just look at those lights. Again, you want 2 red and 2 white, so I'm just going to correct for that. Good. Again, once I've corrected, I will counter correct by pushing the stick the other way, because you don't want to travel too far in the direction you've corrected. So also bringing down the power. Completely down on the power.
60, 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard 5.
There it is. Just a few bits of input on the shoulder buttons just to make sure it is lined up properly. I will hit the brakes, which is the Y button, to bring us to a stop. And there it is. Not too bad for someone who does not use a controller in order to do their landings, but it's a pretty decent score nonetheless. So just a few things to remind you of: small corrections on the thumbstick, bring it back to the center every time you make those corrections, and a few taps of A and B. When you land, very small but controlled pushes on the shoulder buttons to make sure you're lined up with that center line. Also, when you land, hold down that B button in order to engage your reverse thrust. That will slow your aircraft down. When you're ready or happy to do so, Y is your manual braking, and that's what you'll use to bring the aircraft to a stop so that we could see this splash screen. So hopefully that was helpful. And if you find this useful, or you like what you see, please give me a like or subscribe, and it will indicate to me that that's the type of material you want to see on this channel, and I'll do more. Otherwise, feel free to drop a comment on how you've done using these tips. But thank you very much for joining me for another 10 minutes until landing. Until the next flight.